your fist to the air. Tunes Brothers everywhere. Rockin' loud, feel the sound. Tunes Brothers smashing ground. Whoa, rebels with guitars in hand. Ooh, raise your fist. Raise your fist.
Okay, welcome back into Tunes Brothers. I am Rob. That is Scott. That is Darren. Today we are going to be listing, well, at least I am going to be listing my top 10 favorite bands. I think Scott had 15. I'm not sure where Darren fell in. My take on some rules I put down for myself just to narrow this down because I have way too many bands that I love. I needed my bands to have more than one album and have more than one album that I pull on the regular songs to go on a playlist. Bands I love live, sound good live, bands that had a good look. Just several little key factors I had to introduce into my criteria to narrow this down. Otherwise, my list could have been endless. Darren.
Um, I've listed 15, but I could easily trim that down to 10, possibly even 5. I hate coming up with favorites because I listen to so much different stuff, and depending on the mood, and I try not to label things as far as a favorite. I mean, it's difficult for me, but I too, just generally speaking, wanted to be a band again that had more than one album, more than one decent album. And again, things that I would want in my playlist, or an album that would have a song that comes off an album that I listen to frequently enough to give a shit about. So
I understand your take. I mean, I think we all feel that way, especially, your favorite band to listen to could be different day to day. But so I hate the favorites thing too, but at the end of the day, it's such a popular talking point. And if you've been a fan of music as many years as we have, bottom line is there has to be some that boil to the top. You might not be in the mood for them for a year, but after 40 years or so of listening to these bands, 30 years at the very least, you have to kind of have an idea which ones always resurface the most. So that's where I was going with this.
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah, and I kind of looked at it too, like, okay, who do I listen to the most? Who's been most influential in my rock world? Who has really made me carry the flag? Because you're going to see something by my list that you guys may not have. I don't deter from metal and hard rock. I love a lot of different stuff, like Brian Adams stuff and REO Speedwagon, Styx, and stuff like that. I love that stuff. I've seen them all in concert and everything like that. But my favorite stuff is hard, and there is nothing else that can overtake that. I tried. So that's why you're going to know, mine's going to be pretty much tunnel vision. But what was hard for me was putting them in order, especially after the first couple. And I got 15 and 5 honorable mentions. I could have had 25, 30. I mean, literally with no sweat, So, yeah, I know it takes a long time to do that many. I'm glad Darren did cut it down to 10. So yeah, man, the albums I've owned, my influences, what got me started into this crazy world that I love, passionate so much about music. The concerts I've seen, there's a lot goes into mine. So That's my take on it.
All right. Either you two want to throw honorable mentions in first before we get to it.
Yeah, it don't matter. First, last, it don't matter to me. What do y'all want?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with honorable mentions. Lewis jumped all over my ass the last time we did a video with fucking honorable mentions because he said they're supposed to go first. Okay, because we did them afterwards. My problem with going first is if I'm a viewer and I'm waiting to see who the hosts are going to list, and I'm predicting or I'm playing a game with myself, or I wonder where this is going to fall, and then they throw out my band that I'm waiting for in the honorable mentions, it kind of fucking ruins the surprise. But we can do it either fucking way.
Let's do it at the end.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I will do the rare thing and start here. My number 10 is Judas Priest. I will make a caveat. We're talking late 70s to late 80s Judas Priest. Stuff from before Point of Entry, not so much. Stuff after Painkiller, not so much. But undeniably, when you're talking about especially British Steel, Screaming for Vengeance, Defenders of the Faith, yes, even Turbo, these Gram It Down, these are fucking fantastic albums. They fucking hit everything from regular rock to extreme rip your face off metal. You can't, everybody knows Rob Halford's voice, the brilliant dueling guitars of KK and Tipton. Always, and going back to the beginning with mixed cassettes, there's always been Priest on my playlists since I discovered them at a very young teenage age. So that's my number 10.
Okay. All right, we can let D go last this time. He don't go last that often, so I will roll with my number 10, and I know this is going to be on both of y'all's list. If it's not, shame on you is all I can say. Number 10, we just got done talking about them. Van Halen, baby. Yeah, I know y'all got these in the top 5. Got to have. But anyway, look, guys. Yeah, it's not a joke. It's not a cork. And when I said Van Halen's probably in my top 10, yeah, it narrowed down to where it was a struggle between them and somebody else, and they edged it out.
Are you combining the Van Hagar stuff or strictly?
Well, look, I will say this. From the first album, and I am going to combine. I'm about 50-50 on Hagar Halen stuff, man. I mean, literally, I know he gets a bad rap.
You're 51-50?
I love 51-50. I don't like everything on it, but I love that song. And I love, Summer Nights and the Radio, man, and Can This Be Love? Those are some rocking ass songs, bro. But when you start getting into, what's that song they used to play on the radio all the time? And I just wanted
Pound Cake, Higher, that Higher ballad.
Finish what you started. Holy God!
That's a terrible song.
I wanted to stomp the radio through the dash every time it came
I'll
on.
tell you, that's the one song I can say Michael Anthony's harmonies make me want to throw up. It's fucking terrible.
If I hear the intro to that, I'm automatically ejecting wherever it's at. So, yeah, Sammy's done some cringeworthy shit with Van Halen, but he has done some fantastic shit. The balance, man. Holy hell. Yeah, there's some rocking stuff. But anyway, Van Halen is mostly the infancy, man. The Van Halen 2, man, was my introduction to Van Halen. And then I think maybe Women and Children first, and then maybe I went back to the first album. Maybe the first album was next. I can't remember exactly, but it hit me pretty good, pretty quick, and it's all attributed to my uncle. This is where I got my ground rules, my cousin, my uncle, from everything that I love today. And yeah, Van Halen, solid top 10 for me. And in a lot of ways, I understand why they did get as big as they did. And a lot of ways, I can see your point of view and other people that don't understand their whole album put together, the way they do things, man. So how they're mixed and off the radar they are with some shit. Number 10, Van Halen.
All right. For me, my number 10, and again, I struggle with naming favorites, but scanning through my listening history and what I have on vinyl, I put the band Kingdom Come as my 10th favorite band. Those first 3 albums that they had were spectacular, in my opinion, from start to finish. That there really wasn't a turd amongst the bunch. I mean, it's I don't even know how to describe their sound for people who aren't familiar with Kingdom Come. But I don't want to say it's mellow. Some of the stuff is a little bit more on the mellow side of things, but there's a lot of great guitar work. Definitely, a lot of people want to say that they sound like Led Zeppelin, but I would disagree. I mean, small similarity maybe, but to me, Kingdom Come is 10 times or 20 times better than Zeppelin. But anyway, Kingdom Come, number 10.
Okay. Number 9 for me is the only band that has snuck into my radar as far as being one of my favorites in the last couple of years. Everything else has been pretty much on my list since the 80s, 90s. And that is Sweet. Of course, I knew of Ballroom Blitz and Fox on the Run when I was young. Didn't really know who sang it, didn't really care. But I got into them big time over the last 3 or 4 years. At one point in time, they snuck up to my number 2. I listened to them so frequently. They've recently dropped back down just because they have such a huge catalog, and there's a vast part of that catalog, especially towards the 80s where they started doing music I don't care for. But early Sweet, man, some of the best stuff, one of the most influential, unknown, uncredited influential bands to everything that came out after. Great. They all 4 could have been lead singers. Their harmony is unmeasurable and unmatched. They got hard rock and stuff. They got light, good times rock and roll stuff. They got everything. So Sweet is number 9.
Good choice, man. I mean, it's a newer band for me, even though I have heard their music in the past, but just didn't really know who it was. That Desolation Boulevard album is fucking fantastic. That's one that I'm glad that I got introduced to right there. So yeah, I can live with that. My number 9, and we almost had a ding moment, guys. Believe that, on our top 10 bands. The Priest. Man, dude. Hey, let me tell you something, man. These guys here, they rock it, man, and they rock it hard. Finally got to see them live about 5 years ago, man, and they were fantastic, bro. He sounded still so good, man. I don't know if he's using anything or not. If he was, you damn sure couldn't tell it. But Priest, my infancy of Priest was British Steel. That's the first thing that I ever heard by them. It was my uncle. He had the album, the song Living After Midnight, man. That was my introduction to Judas Priest. And then I think the next thing they put out was Screaming for Vengeance. And I have that myself. And wow, what a king album, bro. And then it gets just as good, if not better, as Turbo being one of my favorite albums they've done, even though I know it gets shit on because they putting color in. Who gives a damn what they're putting in their leather? I don't give a shit, man.
I think it was more the keyboard.
Yeah, man, it doesn't matter. Those songs, man, Parental Guidance, bro.
Oh,
Private
fuck yeah.
Enemy, man. Freaking Wild Nights, Hot Crazy Days. These songs are absolutely spectacular. So yeah, man, and of course, Defenders of the Faith, man. Wow, Love Bites, man, dude, just so many good songs. Priest has been there since about I hit them about the same time I hit Van Halen. I mean, these guys are like neck and neck. I think British Steel and Van Halen 2 came out the same year, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't know.
What happened?
That's it.
Nothing. You just froze for a second.
I hear you. Okay. Okay.
You're good.
All right.
You're good.
All right. Okay.
All right, number 9, Darren.
Number 9. This is where I put the band Cinderella. They one of the first metal bands, I guess, that I really got into as when I was younger. Although to me, their first album is by far the one I listen to the most. Long Cold Winter is still a good album. Heartbreak Station has good tunes. So does Still Climbing. So, I mean, it may have waned a little bit, but I still listen to Night Songs so often that entire album that they snuck in at number 9.
Okay.
Good
Number
choice.
8 for me is Rat. Absolutely love this band. Always been a fan of Stephen Pearcy's. Believe he's the first, famously anyway, to use the hair over one eye that then became replicated by Mike Tramp, John Bon Jovi, whoever. Not known for his vocal prowess, but he was a hell of a performer. He's got a tough guy, grovelly voice that works for that style of metal. Warren DeMartini and Robin Crosby, all of Judas Priest, the beautiful dueling guitar solos. So many great songs. Of course, the legendary Round and Round, but to me, that Invasion of Your Privacy and even what's that, Reach for the Sky? Is that the album?
Dancing in the Sky or Dancing Undercover.
Yeah, so many good fucking albums where they're not all, to me, their only 100% complete album was Invasion of Your Privacy, but it's not like the other albums had just one good song, right? They were all like half to 3/4 good albums for me, even up into Detonator and stuff. So, and I've seen Rat themselves in their heyday a couple times. I've now seen Stephen Pearcy a couple times over the last couple of years, still bringing it, still oozes the cool of a rock star instead of being like some of these fucking old washed up fucks out there in their t-shirts and jeans and a baseball cap mailing it in. He comes out there decked out in studs and bling and fucking looking badass. Rat, number 8.
Yeah, good choice. Number 8 for me. And I'm pretty sure this one's going to be high up on y'all's list, but I tried to put them a little bit higher, but this is a tough one. The infamous Metallica. Yes. First time I heard Metallica was Ride the Lightning. I was in high school. And literally, no, I take that back. The first time I heard Metallica was the Ozzy Osbourne Shot in the Dark Ultimate Sin tour. That was the opening band. And we were all kind of mesmerized when they was on stage because all you could see was hair flying then. That's what they done then. It was just wow. Okay. Great performance, but that wasn't really our cup of tea at the time. So the concert really didn't resonate with us. But I bought the Ride the Lightning cassette, and ever since then, I have been on the Metallica train, with the exception of a few things they've done, and pretty much introduced them to pretty much everybody in my high school. Literally, nobody listened to them until I did at my high school. I love their albums. I love Master of Puppets. I love the first one, the second one, the third one, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All. I like about 50-50 of the Black album, St. Anger, Flush It Down the Toilet. I love Garage Days. I love Load. I love Reload. I love Death Magnetic. Now, great rock band, great metal band. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings on them and stuff like that too, you know, but it's the music for me. And that's one of the hard thrash metal bands that grabbed me. Very few did, but they were one that did. So Metallica, number 8.
Okay. Yeah, I think you'll be very shocked as to where Rob and I put that band on our lists.
I know, man. I'm waiting.
You'll be waiting a long fucking time.
Exactly.
It's got to be honorable mention, right? Yeah.
Oh, all right. Number 8. I know that we did an album review for one of them, or for this band, for one of their albums. I was pleasantly surprised that the two of you liked it as much as you did, but I went with the band Harem Scarum for number 8.
Yeah. And by the way, viewers, shame on you.
Uh-oh.
Go and watch that video. Just because you don't know the band name that we're talking about doesn't mean you're not going to love the fucking music. Check it out. Anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, man.
Again, this is a band that I didn't start listening to probably until I was in my 30s, right? I mean, and obviously it was out. I think the album that we reviewed came out in the early 90s, like 91, 92, something like that. So it was out there. But yeah, I came upon them about 20 years ago or so, I would assume, and have loved them ever since. I listened to, I mean, I would say 3/4 of their stuff is in my playlist, right? So, I mean, I'm getting close to 4,000 songs in that at this point. So, doesn't necessarily come up all that often, but when it does, I crank it, right? I mean, they have some great music. So, and I listen to them a lot. So, Harem Scarum is number 8.
Okay, number 7's Where I Catch Shit and I Don't Care. Winger, one of the most musically gifted bands, and I'm talking every fucking instrument in this fucking band. I was lucky enough to see them just a few years ago, since Reb Beach and a couple of others do interchange with other bands. So seeing the original all together is a treat. My God, I have never seen such a gifted musical band, from vocals to background vocals to lead guitars to drums to, man, I can't say enough good things. They went through, you know, their changes in style, trying to toughen up after Beavis and Butthead just about fucking killed them. Came out with some tougher stuff, then they kind of fell off the radar with some decent but not great stuff. But they're the only band right now. If you haven't heard Winger 7, get the fuck out and listen to that fucking album. They are the only hair metal band who has put out new material that sounds like it was done in the hair metal decade. Fucking fabulous. Winger.
And I mean, it's a great choice. Kudos to you. I won't make fun of you for it. But they're all original. They are still 100% all original members. You don't see that. I mean, getting up to where we are in age, and they might be 5, 7, 10 years older than us, right? A lot of musicians have passed. A lot of them can't perform anymore. Kudos to them for being all original too. So, but no, good choice, Rob.
Yep. And I will say this. I seen Winger in his infancy, bro, a couple of times. And damn, they were spectacular, bro. They were on the
babysit him? Did you change his diaper or something? I mean,
he's making fun of the infancy term.
Well, and his age. I mean,
no, I wouldn't have if they'd let me now. But I'll tell you, about every damn chick there would have.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, this guy was a magnet, bro. Yeah. I mean, even the chick that, you know, cleans my teeth at the dentist office, man, was talking about him. You know, God, he's got perfect teeth. Man, he's such a good looking guy. Okay, that's my teeth. But anyway, look, Winger, man, dude, he brings it, bro. I don't care what anybody says. And look, if you think about the Beavis and Butthead thing, there's a lot of bands that could have wound up on that shirt. But guess what? Winger
Absolutely.
did. Poison could have wound up on that shirt. I mean, dude, look at it, man. He was big enough to be on that damn shirt, bro.
Yep.
Hell yeah. My number 7, and we almost had another ding ding moment. Rat. Damn right, bro. Seen them in the day, man. The Dancing Undercover tour was the first time, the third album, and I've seen them 3 times at least. Yes, in their career with all originals, except one time, of course, Crosby was not there. Of course, he had passed away. God bless your soul, brother. I love you, man. Everything they've pretty much done, I love. My favorite album by them, I would have to say, is the Out of the Cellar, which that's what I call the debut album. Yeah, I know they released an EP. I like it too. It's a rough, dirty sounding album, but some good jam on it, man. I love the Reach for the Sky album. I love all their albums, man. Like Rob said, there's good stuff on all their albums that just absolutely rock. So, yeah, man, Rat was one of the bands that grabbed me in the early to mid 80s, dude, with both hands, man. As soon as I heard Round and Round on the radio, I was sitting there with a cassette trying to get it recorded because I knowed it was coming on. We would even call the radio stations, play that Rat song, play that, you know. And back in the day when you could do that kind of stuff, I don't know if you can do that now or not, but
No.
hadn't done it in a long time if they have. But Rat is, they bring it live. I've never seen them perform. The only time I've ever heard them perform poorly was the Reach for the Sky tour because my friends got to go to that one. I did not. And Kix was opening up for them in Charlotte, and they were drunk and wasted. They was out walking around on stage while Kix was performing. They said that Kix was getting pissed off, you know, and I can't blame them. But, you know, hey, besides that, I didn't see that one. So every time I've seen them, they've been perfect. Their music brings it. Stephen Pearcy's one of a kind. Love his voice. Always have. Always will. Number 7, Rat.
All right. My number 7 is a band that Scotty just mentioned, but it's not Rat. It's Kix.
Oh,
You know, I definitely started listening to Kix later than, you know, I didn't listen to their early stuff. It wasn't until Blow My Fuse was released that I really got into Kix, and then of course went back and, you know, listened to their earlier stuff, and then Hotwire, is that the one after Blow My Fuse?
Yeah.
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 So, but yeah, they've got a lot of great tunes. I mean, I'm jealous of Rob, him having been able to see them a couple of times before they retired recently. That's one of the bands that I always wanted to see live and have missed out on. So
And for the most part, short of the guitar player who was dealing with some rehab issues, that was all original too, both times I saw him.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wish I could have seen them live. I really do. That's a band that I have liked for a very long time. And again, has a lot of great tunes. So Kix, number 7.
Yeah, I never got to see them too, man. And they went down on record back in the day, man. I know this is pretty good standards to hold to. They were ranked number 1 of the best club show bands out of everybody, man. And all the bands that were coming through here at the time, I didn't get to see them either somehow. So,
Steve is such a wizard talking to the crowd. He's so goddamn funny. He's got such energy. Yeah, I can see that because he fucking, I mean, The first time I saw him was that pissy little outdoor street dance, basically, in Dickinson a few years ago. He had everybody fucking it. I mean, everybody was involved in that show. I mean, he commands that stage. What a great front man. What a great voice. Okay, my number 6, speaking of great frontmen, Warrant. We're talking about one of the bands here, a la Extreme, Kiss, that currently changed their style and did it well. They started out as your typical hair band, then they went to a serious rock band with Cherry Pie minus, the tongue-in-cheek title track. Went into a heavy fucking kick your ass fucking band with Dog Eat Dog. Dabbled with the grunge / dark metal sound in fucking Ultraphobic, which was fucking phenomenal. Fell off the radar a little bit with Belly to Belly. I'm sure Janie's substance abuse was at its height there. God rest his soul. But Warrant has so many good albums. Each album is pretty much a complete album. I mean, there is so little I could ever. I may skip because I'm not in the mood for, but there is nothing I can think of off of the first 4 albums that I skip because I hate. Not one.
All right. Hey, I got nothing against them. I got to see them, I know, twice, maybe 3 times, and they were phenomenal every time. This
I
was
think I've
back
seen them
before.
the second after Kiss. I've seen Warrant the second most out of any band. I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty
I got
much.
to see them
Pretty
in a
much. I
club,
saw them
too.
on their debut as an opener. I saw them on their headline Cherry Pie, on their headline Dog Eat Dog. We saw them in the clubs for Ultraphobic.
Yep.
And I just saw them with the replacement singer in Dickinson a couple years ago, a year ago or whatever. And believe it or not, he kicks some serious ass. So yeah, I've seen Warrant a lot of times.
Wasn't he in Black and Blue? Wasn't he the singer for Black and Blue?
No. What's his name?
Jamie St. James. He did
That's
make an album.
Yeah, that's Jamie St. James. The Warrant singer's name is God damn it, I'm gonna have to look it up because he deserves that respect. Mason, Robert Mason.
Robert Mason. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Got nothing against that one either, man. I like them. Always have. As soon as I heard Down Boys on the radio, went and bought the cassette. So, number 6 for me is probably should be a band that is one of the most influential 80s bands. They set the mark for every band in the 80s, and that's Quiet Riot. When Come On Feel the Noise hit the radio, bro, it was all over. It was it, man. The album went to number 1, and for good reason. It is a great album. They put out 2 great, just in your face albums back to back. They put the 3rd one out. Yeah, it's about 50-50 for me, but they really self-destructed themselves. I think that would have been a band that could have carried a Motley flag through time. And I just think they done it to themselves. But them first couple of albums, man, are 2 of my favorite rock albums of all time. They're in that group. There's hardly anything that I would skip on them albums if I would skip anything. Just like Darren said, it's according. Rob says like it's according what kind of mood I'm in or whatever. But Quiet Riot, man. I had that album as soon as I heard that on the radio, and so did pretty much everybody else, even everybody I knew. I mean, no wonder it went to number 1. So, Quiet Riot, man. Rest in peace, Frankie and Kevin, bro. Yeah, I love them, man. And luckily, I got to see them twice. Original band. No, first time it wasn't. Rudy Sarzo wasn't there. But the second time, the whole band was there. Fucking fantastic. Number 6, Quiet Riot.
Awesome.
All right. For me, number 6, and I struggled with this one, where exactly I should put it. Should I put it in there at all? But I put Taiketo as my 6th favorite band. Now they may not
I
have.
had them, but I had to take them off because though they have multiple albums and I do like stuff off of other albums, when I make a playlist, it's always off that first album.
Yeah, I mean there are other, like you said, they have other music, other albums. I mean, I still pull a handful of songs off those other ones. But I listen. I mean, I know it's their debut, "Don't Come Easy." I listen to that so frequently. We had the opportunity recently to interview Danny Vaughn. He's got an amazing voice. So I said, fuck it. They got to make my list somewhere. Not top 5. I could have put some of these other bands probably a little bit ahead of them, but I didn't. So Taiketo, it's number 6.
Okay, yes, and no disrespect, Danny Vaughn. I love you. You got the most legendary voice that I think I've ever heard when it comes to just a pure rock voice. But again, some of these other bands, for my taste, just had more albums that I pull from than just the debut. And speaking of which, these top 5 bands have been my top 5 bands since I was 13, 14, 15, whenever they came out. So rounding off the top 5, Baton Rouge, the kings of the big chorus. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these bands were long before cell phones and smartphones, so the fan footage you get is fucking brutal, especially sound quality. So I've never had a chance to hear them live. I can't measure if they pull off those big choruses live or if it was all a product of studio and overlays and everything else. But nonetheless, those albums, the sound, and even the third, which oddly is the self-titled, where it pretty much just was Kelly Keeling in a completely different musical direction, was fabulous. But those first 2 big hair metal, big chorus fucking albums, every song on both albums is top notch. Never heard anything like it when I heard it, and I haven't heard anything like them since. Baton Rouge.
Cool. Interesting.
I know a little bit of their stuff. I know who they are. They were big enough for people who knew what 80s rock were to
Yeah.
know who the hell they were, bro. Okay, my number 5. This was, yeah, it's tough, man. Like I said, there could have been so many and so many different orders on this, man. No, it ain't easy. No, I don't enjoy doing this, but it is a good mind fuck, bro, to just
Yeah.
try to do. So, I will say that. Number 5, I just seen the band or the guy Blackie Lawless Wasp is my number 5. I was into them very early. Soon as their debut came out, I had it. And the only thing I had heard at the time was I Want to Be Somebody and Love Machine. Believe it or not, I was in front of the TV a very, very, very few times that did get played on MTV. It might have been Headbangers Ball because they neglected Wasp. They did not play them like they should have. A band that's been against the grain, the PMRC, that goes against all of what is supposed to be good, rebellious, and the hell with you. That was the attraction for everybody my age at the time, and they were good. It wasn't just the way they were; they brought it, man. When you listen to them, and unfortunately, I didn't get to see them back in the day because they jumped off of the Animalized tour, and Crocus jumped on. I love that I got to see Crocus, but man, I would have really loved to have seen Wasp. But Yeah, man. I held them hand in hand with Motley Crue through the early 80s, and then they kind of went off around the Headless Children album, and Motley Crue kind of went up, and up, and wound up getting the #1 album, and Wasp just kind of vanished. Lineup changes. But anyway, the music's what it's about for me. It's hard to touch those first 3 studio albums back to back to back. Are phenomenal from front to back all the way through. The performance to this day, Blackie sounded fucking phenomenal. If he was using something you couldn't tell, there you go. I mean, so yeah, Wasp has always been a good influence on me. A hell of a damn 80s band coming in raw, like a lot of them did at the time. Shout at the Devil era, looked kind of like Motley Crue, sounded kind of like Motley Crue at that time. Dangerous, just in your face. I've always loved them. Wasp. We are not sexual perverts.
All right. Real quick public service announcement. Since you brought up Headbangers Ball and stuff, let's take a trip down memory lane real quick.
Nice.
There we go. Okay, Darren.
All right. Number 5. I mean, this is a band that I have been familiar with for a very long time. A couple of years ago, they probably wouldn't even have made my top 10, just out of spite from having to have it thrown at me left and right. A little band by the name of Kiss.
Wow. I never thought that would make your top 10.
See, exactly.
And I don't even know, about you that much with Kiss, but I didn't see that either.
I thought it might surprise the both of you, especially Rob. Like I was never a Kiss trash talker or anything like that. I genuinely enjoyed their music as a casual fan, as we've all talked about before. But then once I got to know Rob, my junior year, senior year, and ever since, obviously, with him being the world's largest Kiss fan. I had to eat, sleep, and breathe Kiss just like Rob did. And again, so like I said, not to crap on them at all by any means, but like I said, they probably wouldn't have made my top 10 even as a few years ago. But I listen to a lot of them now, even when it's not for podcast work, right? For anything like that. So Kiss is, like I said, I'm not going to say anything else. I'm pretty sure both of you were going to talk in depth about them, so I don't want to.
But the podcast homework, I think, opened you up to more of it.
I wouldn't say, I think honestly, I think I'd heard pretty much everything except for Monster and above, right? Up
there is
until
nothing
podcast.
else.
Because I was still familiar with Psycho Circus and what was the one right before that or after?
Carnival of Souls, Psycho Circus,
Carnival of
Revenge.
Right, no, Carnival of Souls. No, Revenge I bought the day it came out.
Okay.
Because we'd already heard, some of it on MTV or whatever. But I bought that on my lunch break. But no, like I said, I'm not going to go too in depth on the band's history and shit like that, just because I know both of you probably will. But Kiss made number 5.
Okay. Number 4 for me, Lillian X. And I will preface this, Ron Taylor's Lillian X. So debut through Psycho Schizophrenia. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first album, I did not know. My introduction to them was seeing their video on MTV for Show a Little Love, and they blew my fucking mind. Immediately got Love and War, the album, which is 10 out of 10, track 1 through whatever. Went back, thanks to Darren, who had Lillian Axe's first album. I loved Misery. I love Dream of a Lifetime, even though that intro lasts entirely too fucking long. But the rest of that album was just kind of okay. But they brought out Justice. What's the one with the fat grandma and the axe? Poetic Justice.
Poetic, yeah.
And two of the greatest to this day rock ballads that have ever been done are on that fucking album. Then they shift gears into Psychoschizophrenia to a style of music I'd have never dreamed I would like, but they did it so fucking phenomenally. It's like nothing you've ever heard. Ron Taylor's voice is epic. Definitely top 5 in my all-time singers. Stevie Blaze, great guitar work. Their sound was very unique, much like Baton Rouge. These were not cookie cutter hair metal bands. When you started pushing to the late 80s and early 90s, these bands were much more talented and had their own sound versus all the cookie cutter 80s bands. So Lillian Axe always makes my playlist, always has, always will. Great band.
All right. Number 4. I'm pretty sure this band will probably be y'all's 1 or 2. Maybe. I don't know. I know it's got to be there somewhere, but because I haven't heard it yet. The Crew, baby. Motley Crue. Awesome band, regardless of their piece of shit Tommy Lee and Nikki Sixx. I put all that stuff out of my head, man. When I do this, I go back to when I discovered the band, what they were about, and how I felt about them, and plus the albums and the concerts. Probably, like you said, with Warrant, I've probably seen them probably behind Kiss more than anybody. Literally, great band through 2005, at least. Before all this last, 15 so years, I've heard some pretty horrible things about the performances and all that stuff, but that's, whatever. The music, the CDs, man, they were right there in 83 with Shout at the Devil, man. And ever since I grabbed that, man, I love Theater of Pain. A lot of people don't. The production shit, I understand that. I wish that it could have been produced so much better. Maybe we can get a remastered and make it sound better or something. But I love Girls. First time I got to see them, they were phenomenal. Absolutely spectacular. Heroined out or coked out or what, you couldn't tell it. I seen Dr. Feelgood. It was phenomenal too. Just absolutely great album, man. I like a 50-50 Generation Swine. I like a lot of New Tattoo. Their new album, there's about 3 songs on there I like, or their latest one. But they are good. The rest of it's just thrown together. But anyway, Motley Crue, very influential on me. Any bands that emulated Kiss in any kind of way with the makeup, theatrics, and all that stuff, dude, the Coopers, the Wasps, I was usually in if they sounded good and they brought it. And Motley did.
Let me just say this now to correct you before you get ripped in the comments. Kiss did not, or Alice did not emulate Kiss. It would have been the other way around.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm just saying those bands in the shock rock. Yeah. That now
Yeah.
Kiss Kiss did Alice did influence Kiss.
Yeah.
But it was the theatrics and the makeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
They went totally different with their music. So yeah. The shock rock thing I was always in. So
Yeah.
Motley Crue number 4, right?
4.
Yep.
All right. Number 4. And I've been thinking about these top 4 and whether I should switch them a couple around, but I'm not. Rob, I think you had this band at number 6, and that's the band Warrant. And like Scott had said, Down Boys, right? I heard that song for the first time. I bought the cassette single. It's the first thing I would do when I got home from high school. Throw that in the cassette player and crank it up. Bought the album not too long after, and ever since, always loved that group. Like Rob, I mean, we attended most of those shows together, the Cherry Pie tour, the Dog Eat Dog tour, and the club where we saw the Ultraphobic. I think Janie was one of the best songwriters, very gifted, great front man. I don't think I ever would have wanted to work for him behind him because he was a demanding SOB. But I think he had the right to, right? I mean, they had a reputation and he didn't want anything to fuck it up. No matter whether he was drinking on stage or anything like that, he was always the consummate perfectionist. He wanted the band to sound great. I mean, I remember even when we watched part of their tune-up or whatever, and he was swearing at the spotlight guy. Am I speaking fucking Egyptian? Because the spot wasn't hitting him right. And he kept on telling him to move it, and he wasn't listening. Because, what am I speaking fucking Egyptian to you? Move the spotlight. And it was fucking hilarious, but still, like I said, it. And then we got to party with most of the band once they got home from the bar that night or the couple nights before their show. It was a great time. Alan, Joey, right?
Yeah.
He was so fucking hammered, but hilarious.
Yeah. And hammered and barely able to hold on to my guitar, played circles around me.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, to be in a band like that, you have to have the talent, right? And Joey Allen, I think, doesn't get the respect that he should. But yeah, I've always enjoyed their stuff. I mean, not Belly to Belly, but even
I am going to go back and listen to that because I literally haven't listened to it since the day I mistakenly bought it.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat. So yeah, there might be something, maybe. I'm not holding my breath to find out.
Yeah.
But even the album they put out with Mason, it's good. I mean,
it's a good album.
Yeah.
Well, they've got a few, but that first one, Rockaholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good stuff on there. It's different.
Yeah. But yes. So anyway, number 4, Warrant.
One of the coolest front men too. Man, I don't know if I've told y'all this or not. When I seen him in a club in Charlotte, there was a scuffle broke out down there close to the stage, man. And I guess the bouncers were, had the guy snatched up and was taking them out, and he stopped the damn performance. Well, he said, "Whoa, wait a minute. Hey, he kept saying, let that guy go." I guess he's seen what took place, who started it or whatever. And he said, "Hey, let the damn guy go." He had said a couple of times, man, and we're sitting here, we're watching what's going on. And it's like they didn't hear what the hell he was saying. And he turned around and he said, "Go get that fucking guy and bring him back in here." To his guys, they went out, got him, brought him across the stage, shook his hand, put him right back down there where he was at. That was a cool motherfucker to do something like that, bro. And then they redone the whole damn song. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, number 3 for me was early on in Darren's list, Kingdom Come. Another one of these bands that completely had their own style. My first exposure was the song Get It On when the video came on MTV. Thank God for MTV back in the day. So many of these bands I wouldn't have known till much later if it wouldn't have been for something like MTV and Headbangers Ball. Like Darren said, yes, the unfair comparison to Kingdom Come. My response to that, well, he does sound similar to Plant in certain times. This should be the ultimate compliment, because if you're a Led Zeppelin fan, they hated this band because all they could see is somebody trying to rip off Robert Plant. Listen to the fucking music. This should be a treat for you. If you like Robert Plant's voice, you should love this band. I mean, that's like saying you don't like Britney Fox because they're trying to sound like Cinderella. They're both great fucking bands with great fucking music. I mean, enjoy them both.
Were in Cinderella.
Yeah, I mean, enjoy the voice and the sound. And like Darren said, it's not, they're heavy. They're just not fast. And they have that gothic keyboard long before that was a thing, backing up their music, and the unbelievable lead guitar solos. This is another band like Winger that was full of ringers for musicians. James Kotak on drums, who, rest in peace, went on to play for, Scorpions. And I mean, it's just one of the most amazing drummers I had ever seen. He was literally, he'd hit his snare and throw the fucking stick up. You could see it above the light rack, and it comes back down. He'd catch it and keep playing. Fucking insane. And Lenny Wolf, his voice, although sounding familiar or similar to Robert Plant. And Led Zeppelin fans, get ready to get pissed. 10 times more powerful than Robert Plant could ever fucking be, with a much broader range. This guy's got falsetto. He's got rip your face off metal. He's got soul. Listen to Kingdom Come. Like Darren said, they got like 9-10 albums. Listen to those first 4 fucking albums. Phenomenal. Kingdom Come.
I just found out something about both of y'all today. You guys are in the closet Zeppelin fans.
Oh, God, no.
Yes, you
No, I've
are.
tried. I have tried.
Yes, you are.
No,
But
I
anyway,
would believe me. I would admit it. I have tried. I even tried for my reaction channel to do rock and roll. I just can't. There's just something about them that just seems to drag. I'm not saying it's all terrible. I'm saying they're just missing some cohesiveness and energy for me.
And
Yeah.
look, I'll go on the record saying, as a Zeppelin fan, they're not my favorite band. Their music is 50-50 to me. Some stuff they do that it's like Van Halen to y'all, like Big Bad William, and yeah, I mean, and Led Zeppelin 3. Remember, I told you guys to give that a listen, just for the worst bored day, and you just ain't got nothing else to do. Just try to listen to that. Just try. You're not going to make it through that. I can't even make it through that damn
It
album.
would probably put me in a bad mood, and I wouldn't want to do anything else but crap Led Zeppelin.
But yeah, Led Zeppelin 1, 2, Led Zeppelin 4, Houses of the Holy. That's it. The rest of it, I got no use for. And not everything on them. But anyway, my number 3. Hold on a second.
Dramatic pause.
Yeah, my number 3
All right.
is, I've been waiting on y'all to bring this one up too. It is Black Sabbath / Ozzy. Now, I can use that because that's the voice of Black Sabbath and Ozzy.
At least you said Ozzy.
Yes. I love a lot of his Sabbath stuff. Basically, one, Paranoid, Black Sabbath debut, Paranoid, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath's okay. Volume 4 is good. They start getting into Never Say Die and Technical Ecstasy. There's only like 1 or 2 songs on those albums, man. That's good. The rest of it's garbage. But here comes Ozzy with Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman, Speak of the Devil Live, Bark at the Moon, Ultimate Sin. Hey, man, it's, you know, no rest for the wicked. Ozzy, I've seen him like Motley, probably second, third to Kiss with all the Ozfest and all the separate tours he's done. He's been phenomenal in every one of them. I grew up with his music and, you know, Black Sabbath before he was even, you know, on his own. And it's always been huge to me. And I've never seen Ozzy and been disappointed, not one time. It's hard to say that as many times as you see people, but he's been spectacular every time. Even though it's been a long time since I've seen him, but I've seen him a lot. Ozzy, Sabbath, number 3.
All right. My number 3. This is where, and this band normally is higher on my list, but I put Extreme as my number 3. I mean, I will admit I hadn't heard anything off their first album, I don't think, until their second album had already come out. Pornograffiti. Again, it's a different kind of music than their first album. It's different than their third album, but all of those albums are different from each other, but they're all great. This is a band that I can and have gone long periods of time without listening because I probably did overkill for 15 years on them. But once one of the songs comes up on the playlist, then I want to go back and just listen to the whole damn album. Again, I've really gotten into vinyl over the last couple of years. I have 4 of their albums, right? Their first 3 and then their 6th. I purposely skip.
Waiting for the punchline.
Yes, thank you. Waiting for the punchline and that Saudades of Rock. But Waiting for the Punchline had a couple of good tunes. I mean, that I liked, but it wasn't the same as the previous 3 as far as how much I liked. And then I have gone back and tried to listen to that 5th album of theirs. It's not as bad as I had remembered. I mean, it's not their best stuff. I still don't think I playlisted anything. I think for me, the reason why that album disappointed so much is
they overhyped it.
Yeah, they're overhyping, right? I mean,
Yep.
It wasn't like it was coming from critics.
They
or
lied.
anything like that. They said
They flat out in multiple interviews in magazines and in front of a camera talked about how they're going back to their roots and showing everybody else how it's done who had been selling out. And this thing wasn't even fucking remotely close to the same genre as their first album.
I got to take a leak. Y'all keep talking. I'll be right back.
Yep. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Hang on one second, Darren.
Hey, you seem pretty cocky for a guy with a little dick.
All right. Go ahead, Darren.
But like I said, they've been very influential to me. Love their stuff. I can go long periods of time, but then when I do listen to them, I want to listen to pretty much everything they have. I know they've let you down over the years, Rob.
Majorly.
And I get it.
I can only be lied to so many fucking times. And they did the same thing with Extreme 6. The same, this is the next Pornograffiti. This don't sound nothing like. They did the same bullshit Kiss did for Sonic Boom and Monster, saying this is the next Destroyer. It's lie after lie and hype after hype just to let me down. 10 years ago, Extreme would have been in my top 3. But right now, I absolutely think their first album is fucking flawless. 50-50 for me on Pornograffiti, 50-50 for me on Extreme, 3 Sides of Every Story. That doesn't cut it for a favorite of all time or a top 10. I mean, not half album. I just, if they would have put out at least one more album in the same vein as their debut album, they would easily be in the top 3. But the fact that they changed styles immediately and then changed styles again and then changed. I mean, they have never put out 2 albums that sound remotely close to each other. I can't get behind that as one of my favorite bands of all time. I just can't.
No, I mean, I don't. I mean, you're not saying anything that isn't true. pretty much every album they do sounds different. I don't mind that as much, again, because it's not the difference between Ultraphobic and Belly to Belly.
No.
For me, it's not a drastic enough change.
Well, if you look at Pornography, the three sides of this of her story, that's a drastic fucking difference.
You're right.
Just so happens I like Three Sides, but it's not why I liked Extreme. Why I liked Extreme was Little Girl's Mother, Teacher's Pet, Kid Eagle, all that shit wind me up off that first fucking album. So even going to Pornography, while some of those songs are very cool, they're not that same kind of fucking street metal that first album was.
Yeah, like I said, I totally agree with you. And and speaking honestly to everybody, right? When I bought Three Sides, I wasn't the biggest fan. I was disappointed initially. Because I remember we had done that road trip to Grand Forks. 2 songs had recently come out, and that was
Rest in Peace.
Rest in Peace, and then
Stop the World.
Symphony for Destruction, or Symphony of Destruction.
From Megadeth, yeah.
From Megadeth. And we had both of those cassette singles in the car, and I think we were up for like 68 hours straight, and we must have listened to those 2 songs 50 times a piece in that 3-day span. And I was so hyped, so pumped. And nothing else really sounded like Rest in Peace off that album, but they still.
No.
But to me, that's still an album that I can listen to start to finish. I wouldn't say I pull a lot if I'm doing like a shortened playlist. Most of the stuff I would pick would come off the first 2 albums, probably like a 60-40 split for me, 60% from the first, 40 from the second. But I don't dislike 6 as much as you do. I mean, I don't think it's anywhere close to their first 3, but I think it's better than Waiting for the Punchline.
Yeah. I like the ballads off the new one. That's about it.
Like I said, to each their own. My taste is just a little bit different. I like more than just the ballads. I wouldn't say I like every song on there, but it's still, to me, it's still a good album. And I mean, it's a band. I mean, I've only got to see them live once, as far as I can recollect. But damn, did they sound great? And it was, I mean, it was 91 when we saw them, but they did sound great. Got to meet the guys before the show at the hotel, right? They were impressed that we had more than just the second album to get autographed.
Yeah, like I said, great band, but the way their history went and the progression went, it's just taking them right out of my list.
Right. No, I get it, but again, it's not. They only have 6 albums, right? They've been together 40 years and put out 6 albums. It's not a ton of work, but for me, 4 out.
Yeah, maybe the laziest rock band in history, right? 14 years in between albums. I mean, Jesus Christ.
I think that title would go to Boston, the band Boston, even though it's not metal. I think they put out a total of 4 albums. No, I'm serious. 4 albums in 60 years? That's fucking lazy. But again, yes. But you know, that music died. There was some
That's
shit.
no excuse. That's absolutely no excuse.
No, to that point,
you don't quit
bickering.
life because life changes. You fucking stick to your guns or you change with it. You just don't check the fuck out.
No, I mean, that's part of it, probably, but also, you know, Nuno and Gary weren't getting along for the longest time, and at least,
Well, maybe Nuno should fuck people who aren't his band members' girlfriends or wives, and there wouldn't be a fallout.
I get it. Not saying it wasn't a bullshit. I mean, that it wasn't a good reason,
I mean,
but at least
here's proof. Here's proof of my argument that singers are all that matters in rock. Nuno Bettencourt, one of the most gifted guitarists on the planet, tried to do the solo gig. You ever heard Psychofunkapus or whatever the fuck that album was called?
had one good song.
Fucking terrible. Brutal. Fucking terrible. These fancy lead guitarists need to check themselves in place, realize the singer's the man, whether they created the band or not, and shut up. You got that snake, Rachel?
Yeah, those two. I was going to say Nuno
You
didn't.
understand? I understand more than anybody as a fan who's watched and listened to the douchebag that is Sebastian Bach in interview after interview. He's a complete dipshit. He's your meal ticket. Shut up and get it done. That's it.
But I will give
Nuno
credit.
is damn lucky that Gary Sharon got past that. I'll tell you that right now, because Nuno's career would have been fucking in the toilet.
Yeah, but I give credit to Sharon for not trying to replace Nuno and going out without him.
How the hell are you going to replace that?
That's what I'm saying. At least he was smart enough to fucking recognize that, because I agree with your assessment that the singer is the band, and very rarely do they switch out. But for Extreme, as much as I love Gary Sharon, and I don't think that band would sound, I wouldn't buy anything with somebody else singing. Well, maybe Danny Vaughn, but
Yeah.
But you can't replace Nuno either, right? You can't just hire some session guy or whatever to come in and fill that.
No, Van
People
Halen is the
People
only
are going to
band
come
that
out
comes
and
to
just
mind.
listen to Gary. I mean, it's kind of like 50-50. You want
And that's
both.
and that's where I'll give Van Halen their props. They're about the only fucking band who had a legendary singer and a legendary guitarist who split and both maintained a great career. That is so fucking rare. Usually, whoever that lead guitarist is, it stays in the band and replaces the singer. That band just goes right in the fucking toilet. All right, so AC/DC and Van Halen deserve their props for being able to successfully and actually become bigger with a secondary singer. But usually the guitar players are left out in the cold. Look at Ace Frehley. Where'd his career go? Right down the fucking toilet after he left Kiss. He was playing clubs if he was lucky. Still playing clubs if he's lucky.
Yeah.
The guitar player is not. Where's George Lynch at? How many venues is he headlining? Don Dawkins still doing well. I mean, the singer is the sound of the band. That's just the way it goes. And the Extreme's no exception. They just, between the two, I think Nuno and Gary are too eclectic with their own personal taste and put the fans' interest in the fucking toilet and flush it and do what they want to do. And unfortunately, don't come to me wondering why you're playing small venues the rest of your life. And you wrap up all the songs that made you who you were into a 5-minute medley for your true diehard fans and say, there you go, we threw you a bone. Now listen to our entire new album. Kiss my ass. Whatever.
All right. So it's to you, because I'll wrap it up. Number 3, Extreme.
I know it's hard to believe because this was one of my favorite bands of all time. But like I said, 2 straight albums, the band themselves, not the record labels, not the media, not the Eddie Trunks, the band themselves flat out lied to their fans about what was coming, and I've had enough. Number 2 for me, Brittany fucking Fox. One of the most legendary bands in my lifetime that had probably the biggest effect on me after Kiss, literally. In my teen years, this band changed my fucking life from the minute I saw the Long Way to Love video. The only rock star I have ever met that left me speechless was Dizzy Dean. When he come off the bus, instead of sweats and a t-shirt, he come out decked like he was ready to go on fucking stage out of a rock video. I was almost hyperventilating. The rest of the band was so fucking cool too to hang out with and talk to. But anthem after anthem, big voice. I like Cinderella, Brittany Fox, no doubt. They tried to have Dizzy Dean sound like Kiefer because 2 of the members did come out of Cinderella. He does it, and much like Lenny Wolf to Robert Plant, he does it better. He's more powerful than Kiefer is with Cinderella, and his regular singing voice is Paul Stanley-esque. That man has it all. He can do everything David Lee Roth can do, including kick higher. I mean, with his Les Paul strapped around, you watch these videos, his leg seemingly detaches from his body and goes up and his toe is pointing above his head. He'll drop down into the splits and come right back up while playing the fucking guitar. The guy's the ultimate showman, one of the greatest opening bands I've ever seen when I saw him open for Joan Jett. Those first 3 albums, even with Paris on vocals on the 3rd, fucking flawless album. So much power, so much fucking anthem to it. Absolutely love Brittany Fox, and one of the most sought after reunions that I could ever think of would be getting him back, getting Michael Kelly Smith back, getting fucking Johnny D back, who is now in Taiketo. But I did see them with Billy Childs, just a bass player, a few years ago. Did a really good fucking job, considering everybody else was not original, but it's not the same. Brittany Fox. I could fuck playlist. I could just pick an album, put it on, and play it, and I'm good. That's how good these fucking albums are to me, and always have been.
No problem with that. Number 2. Okay. I'm sure this is going to be y'all's number 1. We're all probably going to tie here. So, well, I mean, y'all going to have it better than me, but anyway, maybe Darren will split with me. It's another double duo. It is Dio / Black Sabbath. Mob Rules being leading the way. Oh my gosh, man.
Hold
What
it.
can you say?
Hold it. Not only, I was going to say, you're putting Dio above Ozzy, you fucking asshole.
I've seen Darren's head go like that. AC/DC. I
was wondering how that was going to play out. I knew who your 1 and 2 were. I was just wondering which way it was going to go.
Yeah, man. Look, dude, I went over and over and over. Yeah, AC/DC's always been one of my favorite bands, man. No matter what. I mean, literally there with Kiss over the years. But coming into it's a whole different ballgame. But AC/DC, iconic to the bone. I've only got to see them 3 times. I'm going to do everything I can to get to this last one whenever they start setting some dates around here. What can you say about a damn band, man, that just absolutely, like Rob says, it's a damn impossible feat to replace a singer, even though he does die, which gives you a legal right to find another singer, to me being the only reason. And literally explode the next album. Yeah, my theory, that album before So Good, bam, the next one's going through the roof, whether it's dog shit. Now, the one after that, you may not do nothing. It may be the end of your career, but AC/DC, man, there's nothing that they do that I don't love. Yeah, they've got songs here and there that I don't, go to, or it's not on my playlist, of course, but they are a band that's very rare. It sticks to a formula, and it works, and it has worked since day one. I understand they started out a little bluesier with Bon Scott, a little this way, that way. I think they were trying to find their way, trying to find their niche, man, and when they did, they took off and didn't look back. They're absolutely great performers. They sound good live. They're a fucking ball of energy on stage, especially Angus, man. And they rip it up. They sound good. They don't deter from anything they've ever done. And I think that's why they've been able to stay like they have for so long. If it works, don't fix it. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's their formula. And I love them for it. The songs, timeless, that they've made. And first thing I ever heard from them was Highway to Hell, an import my uncle got. And it's been all over since then, man. I've loved everything they've done. No matter the singer change, drummer changes, they're still them. AC/DC, number 2.
Now we're into territory where I have no fucking idea where Darren's going. Well, I know one of them. But with extreme off the fucking table, I'm going to guess on the other one. One of them I'm guessing is 3 initials, and the other one is a no-brainer.
Now you kind of have me confused. 3, no, it's not TNT.
3 letters.
It's not TNT, if that's who you're thinking.
Okay, then I only know one of them. I don't know who the fuck else you got coming in here.
Number 2, also a classic band. I mean, Scotty went with one of the all-time classics in AC/DC. Mine aren't that hard. I mean, so this is like the only album that I would say isn't metal. I mean, but I went with Pink Floyd as my number 2.
Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah, that's a band. Again, this is a band that I didn't, they go back to the 60s, right? I don't think I started listening to them until I was in my 20s. So in the 90s at some point, where and at that time, I wouldn't say that I listened to a lot of them because I didn't buy anything of theirs. I did get to see them in concert when I lived in Minnesota, the Division Bell tour. So without Roger Waters. But
hold it. Pink Floyd did a fucking tour without their singer?
Well, because they did albums without him. I mean,
did they really?
Yeah.
Who sang for him?
Roger Waters. He don't sing most of their stuff. He sings some of it.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure when he left.
Well, the guitar player doesn't sing.
Gilmore. Yeah.
Gilmore sings?
Gilmore.
He took over on vocals.
Who sings Comfortably Numb and Another Brick in the Wall?
That's Gilmore.
Seriously, I thought that was the original singer.
No, Comfortably Numb would have been Roger Waters.
Roger Waters sings that.
When did Gilmore and those two split up? Roger went on to do solo stuff. Gilmore kept Pink Floyd alive. I want to say, wasn't Gilmore's first album
Learning to Fly, I think.
The modern stuff.
Yeah.
It was mid to early 80s.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, but because I think Roger Waters left after The Wall. If I'm not mistaken.
Like I'm not one of their historians, but I know I have albums with.
Well, wasn't Comfortably Numb after The Wall?
No, that's on The Wall.
That and learning to fly and all that real spacey type stuff.
Learning to Fly was the next one. That was Gilmore's frontman, no Roger Waters album, and I like it too. Yeah.
Huh. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So in other words, Roger Waters gets way more credit than he deserves.
Not really. He's responsible for The Wall. Now, beforehand, I think David Gilmour had his more into Obscured by Clouds and Dark Side of the Moon, but The Wall's always been my favorite thing by far that they've ever done, and that's Roger Waters' project right there, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
good to know.
But again, I have a lot of their stuff on vinyl. I mean, for me, they're basically the ultimate relaxation band for me. So when, not like that, but right. So I'm not into that stuff. So
relaxation therapist.
There you go. That I would be into as long as she didn't cost too much. But no, but I mean, to me, it's like I said, they're iconic and for a good reason, right? I mean, their sound is undeniable. Anybody should recognize it. And yeah, like I said, they even beat out Extreme, which was kind of a shock to me when I was putting this down. But I listen to them much more frequently than I do Extreme.
See, this is Darren that moved away. That's why this shocks me so much, because your music taste kind of moved out and expanded after you moved away from North Dakota.
Yeah, definitely.
So I was not privy to what you're listening to on a daily basis anymore. So this shocks the fuck out of me.
Yeah, like you said.
That'll draw the Floyd fans, man. We'll have to do The Wall one day. and draw all them. I mean, that's a hell of a follow.
I can listen to some idiots screaming about pudding for an episode.
All right, number 2, Pink Floyd.
All right, number 1, no surprise to anybody on the planet, is Motley Crue. No, it is Kiss. I am not going to go on a tangent. You all know how I feel about Kiss. One of the only bands in history with all 4 that could sing, went through every genre of music you can think of, including Scott's favorite, disco. They have done it all. They have survived it all. They have persevered it all, and they have influenced probably more bands than anybody since Elvis Presley. So I'm going to leave it short and sweet. Kiss is the greatest band in history. Eat it and get used to it.
They're number
Scott.
5.
And I will go ahead and follow that up. That's my number 1. It has to be my favorite band forever, until the last 24 years or 22 years, whatever. Hell, I don't know.
Yeah,
and
when
they
they
still
became
are.
since they became a nostalgia act.
Yeah, carbon copy of their self, man, going through the motions. Yeah, that's when but that's not what makes them number 1. What makes them number 1 is that's what is all I'm about. That's why I love everything that I do now. That's what drew me in, man. That's what mesmerized me when I first seen them, first heard them. People want to get carried away with this. Well, it's all show. It's all, nostalgia. It's all this. It's all that. It's all this. All sizzle, no steak, bullshit. If the music hadn't been there, I wouldn't have been.
But
Yeah,
to pile on to
yeah.
what you're saying there, let's not forget the greatest and most influential stage act of all time.
All time, they rose the bar for everybody. When you seen these big shows in the 80s, you know where they came from. I mean, there's no denying that. And of course, Van Halen, Black Sabbath, Zeppelin, Alice Cooper, all these bands, AC/DC, they influenced pretty much every 80s band in one way, shape. So, but Kiss, the big stage, the flames, the pyro, all that, the makeup, dude, they went over the top. The greatest band hit the peaks, man, like very few bands ever do. There's a handful that's done that. You can probably count on one hand at one point in time. Bigger than life itself. And they just rode the train for 50 years. If you can find the bands that make it for 50 years and still don't have a problem filling arenas and stadiums and stuff, bro, critics go to hell. All of you go to hell. There's nothing you can say about those bands. I can say what I want to. I'm invested. I can say shit about them that I don't like because they're the biggest band you love to hate. Okay?
Yep.
You got a love-hate relationship with the band if you've been with them long enough. Because look at YouTube. How many podcasts are they on Led Zeppelin bands, Pink Floyd bands, even AC/DC bands? I mean, look how many Kiss podcasts they are alone. So I rest my case. Kiss is number 1. I couldn't deny it. AC/DC's up there, but they just couldn't get the top spot. Nobody ever will, no matter how mad I get at them. Kiss is number 1.
And I'm assuming Darren's been sharpening his axe this entire time, has text message Stevie Blaze to tune in. Your reveal, Darren.
Well, I'm definitely not going to make it a trifecta and touch all the tips. We'll just leave your 2 touching for Kiss. I can't blame you. Like I said, I've come into the fold. I don't think I can be considered a Kiss casual fan. I mean, Christ, I had to tag along to so many concerts. They are the band that I have seen live the most. But no, it's not Kiss. You are correct. It is Lillian Axe, and I have Rob to blame. He is the one who introduced me to the band, a la their Love and War album. It did take me quite some time to even find out that they had an album before Love and War, and then to get it on CD or whatever the first format I had for it. Actually, no, I had it on cassette. It's the only format I think that one had come out in at the time. Anyway, but it is that same cassette as like a total Lillian Axe dweeb that I showed to Steve Blaze when I saw them live for the first time in '93. Got to meet John Sturr that night. But no, saw them at a club in Minneapolis off their Psycho tour. Still, I mean, those first handful of albums up to, because I know, well, they had Poetic Justice, and then they had the Greatest Hits thing in between before Psycho, but love all that stuff. And so I agree, Rob Taylor to me still is the ultimate sound for Lillian, but I do like the stuff without Ron. I mean, I just, at that time, Ron didn't want to do any more touring. So it wasn't like there was a fight between him and Steve. They just went their separate ways, and Lillian has now changed singers twice since Ron left. But again, I still like that stuff. I did go a long time without listening to them because of the Ron Taylor split. I know Steve did some couple of albums with his brother on Near Life Experience was that band. Nothing like Lillian's sound, but still some great guitar work from Steve on the Near Life Experience. But again, didn't pay attention to their stuff after on until, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years ago, maybe. Before I left North Dakota, so about 15. But got right back into them. I can listen to their old stuff, listen to their newer stuff. Got to see them live a few months ago again. Got to have some pizza with Steve after the show and the rest of the guys. But great band. They were down to earth. Allowed me to tag along. But I could listen to them every day, and I probably do.
Beautiful. So there you have it. Painful process for all of us because we love so many bands. Go ahead.
Honorable mentions. Do you have
Oh
any?
yeah. Go ahead,
okay.
Scotty.
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted to go or you
No,
wanted to
I'm
go.
not going to do that because I could list 400 of them. But if you guys have things you are thinking that is that important, go ahead.
I want everybody to know, guys, this list could change at any time. All right. I mean, not the top ones, but the rest of them. This was very painful, and it hurt me personally to leave these bands off, and a ton more that I could have done. So just letting everybody know, if I didn't get your favorite band, I guarantee you, if it's metal / hard rock that I like, they would have been on. Just letting you know. All right. I'm gonna go from bottom to top. 15 for me would have been Iron Maiden. 16 would have been Alice Cooper. 15, 13 would have been the Scorpions. 12 would have been Dio / Black Sabbath. 11 would have been Def Leppard, and I couldn't believe that I didn't get them in there.
I can't believe you don't have Pantera on that list.
They would have been on down the list if it would have been bigger. Yeah.
Okay.
See, yeah, I mean, Pantera, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on, man. Even Poison. There's so many, man, that you just can't. Now, I know Guns N' Roses would have been on y'all's list, but not mine. That's the only one that wouldn't have been on mine. But, they would have come at the tail end of 100, maybe, give or take, right? But
That's
anyway,
quicker than I would have had them. But
yeah, I know Darren would have had Guns N' Roses, right? That probably, 11 for you? All right.
no,
Pink Floyd would have even been on mine eventually. So I like some of their stuff.
for me, my 4 honorable mentions, I have Danger. But when I think about that, most of the stuff I'm going to pull is going to be off of their first two, primarily their second. And that's why they didn't get any higher. Sweet, like Rob said, I have loved that band for a long time. Huge catalog, just on the outside of my top 10. The band Night Ranger, they have a ton of stuff, but to me, it's like 50-50, 60-40 on each album. They just didn't have enough stuff for me. And then Steelheart. Just the two albums. Great stuff. I love both of them. Two albums that I've added to my vinyl collection because they are that good in my opinion. But again, just the two. So,
all right, I'm gonna play along here. The one that did miss my list and was on it briefly, Stryper. Huge Stryper fan, but they've kind of done the Judas Priest thing in modern times and went too fucking heavy for me. But when you look at early Stryper, of course, Shout at the Devil is epic. Yeah, to hell with the devil, yeah. And In God We Trust, believe it or not, was a little too poppy for everybody else. I fucking love that fucking album. And the one that gets no respect, including really by the band themselves, is Against the Law, where they did a video for a remake cover of Shining Star, but they had some strong hard rock. They ditched the yellow and black on that album for the most part and just became a heavy rock band. Great album. I would also have to put Billy Squier as one of my favorites that could have been on this list. He's got a massive catalog himself. Yes, great album. I would also put Rick Springfield on there. I mean, you want to talk about a giant catalog, and also Loverboy. So those are all bands that I listen to on the regular, but they're just not as frequently as the hair metal thing for me. And Stryper, like I said, Stryper just fell off because Sweet had to jump on.
Yep. And if I were to be honest, I would have Judas Priest pretty close to my top 15 as well. I know that they both made your top 10. Again, I like Rob. I like the stuff before they get extremely heavy. But Judas Priest could also make my list.
All right,
outstanding, guys. Hard thing to do. And audience, put it together. Y'all try to do it. Give us your list, man. And see how tough it is.
Okay, so we've got hopefully coming up this week, finally, the Kiss album, the final Kiss album. We've also got Van Halen 1984. So until we get that long overdue Kiss album out, there's going to be no other assignments other than 1984. This is all predicate on Darren's moving situation. So me and Scott, and hopefully probably Tom, if we get time and Darren's too busy, we'll do some Kiss stuff. Not the album. That's going to be reserved for the brothers. But something will be coming out this week one way or the other. Anything else you guys got to say?
Nope, I don't have anything else.
One thing.
All right, everybody. Then until next time.
Go Skins, man. Come on.
All right. Until next time. Thanks for